thought I'd make a quick video, or at least a simple video, on different tarot decks, as well as what an oracle deck actually is compared to a tarot. Here we have a Vision Quest tarot, my witchy tarot that I use a lot. This is another tarot. I'll put this down for a moment. Alright. Now, tarot deck has 78 cards. And that's what a standard tarot deck has. Versus oracle cards can have any number. Tarot decks have what's known as suit cards, or the minor arcana, and then the major arcana. You get ones like the Tower in the major arcana, and then you get ones in the minor arcana that are like the Something of Swords, the Something of Chalices or Cups or Pentacles. When I talk about imagery in decks, I mean getting a theme that you like, finding a deck that has pictures you can relate to. Like, you can look at this card and kind of get that it's a bad idea kind of card. You know, you got blood dripping on the swords. Obviously, it's a negative styled card. You can tell just by the image. You know, the guy's got his hands on his head. You know, that kind of, it can be sorrow. Actually, this card also can mean migraines or headaches, because, you know, he's holding his head. So, I mean, that's kind of how you look at a card and go, can I read these or not? You know, this one's got a guy carrying a bunch of sticks on his back. You know, looks like hard-breaking work. I mean, look at how far he has to go to that village. Guy's a hard worker. You know, it could mean you're, you know, getting tired, you're burning out. You have a long, you know, thing of work ahead of you. Stuff like that. And, you know, I mean, that's really all it takes to learn to read cards. And that's why I say get cards with imagery where you can look at the symbolism and just kind of get a feeling. Like, that card kind of makes a lot of people feel depressed. You know, the guy looks depressed. He's looking at empty cups, meaning what he doesn't have. Ignoring the cups he does have in the back. So it could be relating to focusing only on what you don't have. Focusing on the negative. And so this is one of those decks that I can really easily read, and that's why I own it. It took me 2 months before I decided to buy this deck. I looked up every image of this deck I could online before deciding to purchase them. I am very picky on my decks. Alright, and then you've got oracle decks. This is the one I use for animal totems. And it definitely doesn't have swords, cups, or anything like that. It's just animals. So these all oracle decks have their own little manual that comes with them. None of them you can just go look up a book on it or go on the internet and look up the meanings like you can with tarot. That's the one great thing about tarot. You can literally go Google it and find the meaning for the Nine of Swords. Versus an oracle deck, if you lose the booklet that comes with it, unless you know the images and can kind of figure out what an owl means, you know, and what they meant in this deck of cards, you're okay. The good thing about animal-themed oracle decks is you can just go online and look up animal totem symbolism. But this deck has, let me see if it tells you how many. Like, this one's like the discovery of power through the ways of animals. Most oracle decks are more for spiritual theme versus telling the future. You can tell the future with most oracle decks, but that's not normally what they're actually for, unless you get ones that are specifically for fortune telling, like this one. This one's one of my favorites. It's the size of playing cards. In fact, each card has a playing card image on it. And this is actually similar to a deck my great-grandmother used, apparently. I didn't know that until a few months ago, actually. My mom was like, oh, I remember playing with cards like those. So that's interesting. And this one actually tells you the meaning of the card on the card. And that's kind of interesting, but it's only for a certain type of spread. So always make sure you read your little manual, because this is specifically for a certain type of spread. We kind of do a generic reading of that person and their life situation at the moment. And you read them all differently for doing things like past, present, future, doing other questions. On this deck, the symbolism is can be considered annoying, but for the most part, you know, you have a safe that's open that could represent, you know, money. You know, the money is coming towards you because the safe is open. I have another version of this deck, actually, with much better imagery. This one's less well detailed because it's also playing cards. And also the regular Gypsy cards that this is based off only have 36 cards, and this has, you know, the standard deck, or standard 52 that your regular deck of cards has. You know, but like here you got a coffin. Most people obviously will tell you, oh no, coffin, oh no, something, you know, death. You know, you got a fire, swords crossing, that can mean like a fight or battle. And this is actually, these little Gypsy cards, I can't pronounce the actual name for what deck they're based off of. But they're based off a specific style of oracle cards. And you can kind of Google them and their meanings because the style is so common. Alright, here's my witchy deck. Sorry for the camera jiggles. This card symbolism, I love it because the cards are very colorful, very pretty, and you can literally go and you pull this card. Looks like you're doing something stupid, you made a mistake, you're literally falling off, you know, your horse. You know, this is a card that represents jealousy. You can tell just because the guy's looking at the other girl while he's with this one, so you can kind of figure out, this card would actually mean jealousy, and you'll also notice it's the Lover's card, so it could also just mean love in general, but when you read based off of the images, this is more of a jealousy card. This card represents something being taken away from you. You can tell because, well, there's a bird that's taking away her broom. And this is what I mean, again, look for cards with symbolism that you can just look at it and go, this card could be, oh, there's something abusive going on. Or, you know, you kind of feel like your demons are after you. This card can represent Halloween as well as other things. Things that Halloween normally symbolizes. This is the Death card. Which death doesn't actually mean physical death. It normally means like rebirth, transformation. What appears to be an end is never actually an end. You know, you got your witch. You know, this card represents, oh look, peacefulness, happiness, harmony. That's one of the reasons this is my favorite deck. It gives me some of the most accurate readings. Alright, then I have this Vision Quest deck. Now this is one I actually purchased because a friend of mine was really into Native Americans. And so for a little bit I really got into Native American stuff. And in fact I still like Native American stuff. These are like what the booklets come with decks. This one's actually a lot thicker than most. Like this one's just a little mini, somewhere under there, a mini little pamphlet. That's not very thick. And most of them are in several languages, so very little of it's in English. So if you can, find one that has a big book with it, get it. For instance, the one that came with the Animal Oracle right here, came with a giant book. So you can find them with a book set. Those are a little bit better than just buying it with the little mini books, because sometimes they're not wonderful. Alright, now this deck's a little bit more interesting in symbolism. The paintings themselves kind of go off of the emotions. Like, this kind of makes me feel depressed. You know, and then it gives you a word on the bottom. Some decks will give you a word, which is really, really great. It can really help trigger, you know, a meaning behind it. Like this one is a clown. So you have a feeling of being silly, not watching where you're going. Things like that. And then, of course, you can always read them with, like, you know, you got the fact that you have numbers, like that's the 7 of air, and you can learn about the symbolism for the letter, or the number 7, and the different words that, you know, like joy, figure out how that connects with joy. And I love the artwork on these. And they give off, like, a really interesting sense of emotion, which is the only reason I can read these ones. It's not necessarily the symbolism in the picture, but more the emotion. Like that one, you just kind of feel like nothing worked out. Everything you did is kind of dying off. If you were to pull for the relationship card, you'd be like, the relationship's pretty much dead. You know, this one on the other hand looks like something of abundance. You know, this one can mean that the divine is interfering, that your spirit guides are helping you, you're being watched over. Alright. Then I have a deck, and the reason I can say that you can actually use playing cards similar to tarot is because of the suits and the minor arcana. And this is a deck that really, really proves this. This is one of my newer ones. In fact, it's in like French or something, and I can't actually read them, or read the booklet that came with it, so that's kind of annoying. But a standard deck is a standard deck. And this one's actually designed like playing cards. And then you just have to learn by heart that hearts is the same thing as chalices. Spades are the same as swords. Clubs are wands, and diamonds are pinnacles or coins, whatever you want to call them in the other decks. And then this one has a major arcana set that is very fascinating to me. It is literally one image this way and another image this way. And you'll notice these are the complete opposite set of images. Here you have hard working, you know, breaking your back, sweating, doing everything you're supposed to. The other side is relaxing, you know, being lazy, having the day off. And that's actually why I picked up this deck. I thought it was fascinating that it had different reversed meanings. And every deck is always, you normally shuffle them to get reversed meanings. With decks like these, you can have it where the reverse is no, this is yes, this is negative, this is positive, or you can, you know, kind of do it like this is. Literally, whatever the opposite of this is what this means. So, right side, it means one thing, upside down, it means the exact opposite. That's how a lot of tarot readers will do them. So you want to make sure that you can even understand the cards upside down. That's one of the reasons I like this one. I'm actually getting another deck in the mail soon that is a classical rider tarot, and it has the card meanings written on it for reversed as well as upright. So that will be kind of fun. Alright. Then you've got little mini tarots. I call them the travel tarots. They literally fit in your hand. You can shove them in a purse. You can shove them in your pocket pretty easily compared to a regular tarot deck is a lot bigger than playing cards, because that's a tarot card and that is playing cards. So obviously these ones are a little easier to shuffle than this. This one is tricky because it's really small, but some tarot decks, kind of like this one, they don't have images on the minor arcana, so same as this one. It's got the Three of Swords. This one does actually have a little bit of symbolism, because it's got like what shows the Nile River basically. You know, this one, let's see what this is. Two of Chalices, it shows two chalices or two bowls of water. And it also shows things like the Ankh and other symbols. So if you know the little symbols in Egypt, this is a lot easier to read than just a generic, oh look, it shows two swords for the Two of Swords. And you really want to make sure that you are picking out a deck with the minor arcana showing images if you're starting out, unless you want to be able to read off the book. I recommend getting ones with symbols because it's a lot easier to read than going, oh look, literally 3 coins. You know, what does that mean? So that's one good thing. And then of course, if you have a problem with tarot and you're looking for something different, some people I know cannot actually read tarot cards. They go with oracle decks. Hold on a moment. This one is a pouch, or in a pouch. That's pretty hard to get out. This is an oracle deck. This is actually 2 oracle decks put together. One called the Well-Worn Path, the other one's the Hidden Path. And like a regular oracle deck, no real standard set of cards. So this one is unique, but it's like, tells you what it is, and then these both come with a book. Pretty decent sized book. One of them's actually got meditations in it for how to learn to read these cards. That confused me for a moment. I looked it over and was like, huh, it's still brown. That's right. That's the back of these. And this one's about the Book of Shadows. This one's a very Wiccan-styled deck. If you understand most of Wicca, elements of their spirituality, then you can normally read this deck. It just is a fun thing, so it's pretty easy to read. But, like, you know, you got your chalice, you have cards like the Priest and Priestess. You know, it's definitely not what a lot of people think about when they think of fortune telling, like when you think of tarot. And that's a good thing, because some people just can't do tarot. And that's actually why I got this, is because at the time I had not learned tarot. Then you got other ones. I'm going to make a giant mess on my desk. I'm probably going to end up with tarot everywhere. Then you got things like this. My other gypsy deck is actually designed like this. Book on one side, place to put your cards on the other. And these ones are small, like playing cards. And has a very interesting setup. The images are really pretty. In fact, a few of my friends say that they're almost too pretty, that it's more distracting. So you've got things like a deer on it, like the guru guy, basically, you know, a clock, which would represent time. That's a magpie. You know, it looks, you know, this one's actually like the inner beast kind of thing. Your inner animal, you know, lots of different cards. Father Time, cat and mouse. This one's pretty easy. You know, like this could be, are you looking, do you feel like the cat, or do you feel like the mouse? And of course this one tells you how to read them, how to do them. A really great little book that came with this, actually, as well as the one that came with my gypsy. I got gypsy cards that are like these. I actually got them at a half-price bookstore at the same time. And, like, the book has the pictures to recap the picture, and then gives you like a quote to go with the meaning. Tells you the keywords for it, you know, what it means when it's reversed, and it kind of gives you an image, description of what the card represents, the symbolism within the card, and like little quotes of why the card was basically created that way. Because these are designed after philosophy, basically. Very lovely. And then, you know, it tells you like how to do the readings. So when you can go to an actual bookstore and pick up a deck, hopefully you can look through the booklet. I've kind of been known for opening up tarot decks, because I don't want to buy a deck I don't like the images on. They have to feel like I connect to them, like I can read them. I'm very picky on artwork, so for as many decks as I have, it's actually kind of impressive, because I am picky. But I do end up collecting decks even sometimes if I don't like the imagery. But I like to have useful decks mostly. Decks I feel like I could read. So like this Egyptian tarot deck is probably actually going to be going to my friend soon, because she understands Egyptian symbolism better than I do. However, I am picking up a deck called the Wheel of the Year Tarot soon, because I've been looking at its imagery and it reminds me a lot of my little witchy tarot. Should be real easy to read, very simple, and I've already made this video a lot longer than I was originally planning to. So hopefully looking at different types of decks will help you decide how to pick a deck, what to look for in a deck, just a tad bit. And this kind of basically goes along with the an article I wrote on several websites about picking your own tarot deck, or picking cards. And that's the start of learning to read, is literally you have to find a deck. You can't learn to read tarot without a deck, because tarot is not one of those things. Sure, you can memorize the meanings, but it works a lot better when you have a deck to stare at. You know, when you have the chance to go, okay, if I was thinking of this as a love card, what would I say? You know, you actually have to be able to do that. So the best place to start is grab a deck, one that you feel connected to. Don't just go buy the first one at the store. Research it, decide what you want, and then find a friend and practice. It's the best advice I got for you.